So Mufasa is the prequel sequel to the live-action remake of The Lion King, and it had the framework of being an absolutely brilliant movie in terms of telling the origin storyline of both Mufasa and Scar, and so they could have done a really interesting Abel and Cain degradation of a brotherly relationship. However, unfortunately, they weren't able to live up to this awesome premise. I mean, they wasted so much time, firstly with flashbacks back to the present day of Timon and Pumbaa and Kira just asking unnecessary questions, and then back in the past, just forcing relationships of characters that you know in The Lion King. And this storyline could have easily and should have gone really dark, especially as Scar is such an evil character. And when I was watching it, I could just feel that they were just reluctantly making certain things really light-hearted at the expense of really going deep and dark with these characters. I mean, the turn of Scar should have and could have been absolutely epic in a very similar way how the turn of Anakin was so heartbreaking. But they didn't really build towards it. I mean, one or two things, fair enough, but they didn't really build towards this big crescendo moment. And then when he does turn, it's just so anticlimactic and just so out of the blue and a little bit forced, which just really took away from something that they are just building up towards. I mean, from Mufasa's point of view, he has always been depicted as this perfect, untouchable character, and I feel like they wanted to maintain so much of that, which is such a shame, as they could have shown that this character is a lot more flawed. And I thought it was an interesting decision to separate him from his birth parents and then have him be the adopted brother of Scar, and he is effectively a stray lion, and he has joined the legacy of a royal family. And so they literally had it in the palm of their hands to build such a begrudging relationship from Scar towards Mufasa, but they just didn't do any of it. I mean, it was also an interesting decision to make Scar such a lovable, nice character, and the brotherly relationship between him and Mufasa was really, really endearing, as well as the fact of showing that Mufasa is always a bit more superior to Scar. So even with that, they could have just built up jealousy and hatred, especially as Mufasa was pretty much single-handedly raised by Scar's mother, and she taught him so many unique skills that Scar doesn't possess at all. And by contrast, Scar's father didn't really teach him anything apart from lying and always just looking out for yourself, which I guess, you know, it does play into his storyline in the future, but again, they could have just done so much more with that. It is a really nice moment when Mufasa is able to be reunited with his natural mother right at the end, and even though I feel like they could have done more with the moment, I did like the aspect of Mufasa's father unfortunately passed away trying to save Mufasa, which Mufasa also then does himself when he's trying to save Simba. And on that point, the idea of a stampede has been implanted in Scar's mind because of the events that you saw in this film. I really liked Rafiki's wisdom in this movie. Nothing was as awesome as his lesson about forgetting the things in the past from The Lion King, but nonetheless, it was really, really cool to see him here. All of the other character appearances felt more like tick boxes as opposed to really organically and adding value to the storyline. I did like the new songs, but I don't feel like they were as catchy as the brilliant original from the 90s. And the animation has dramatically improved since the last live action movie, and you can actually see certain characters really showing emotion in a really animated way like they did do in the original 90s animation. Mads Mikkelsen was absolutely awesome from a villain's point of view in terms of playing the outsider king alpha lion Kyros. He was super evil, and they really explained the purpose and the reasoning behind this. So he is a white lion, and all of the other lions considered these guys outsiders, and I loved Rafiki's explanation, as you can really apply this to humans in terms of it's really heartbreaking when your own kind does ostracize you and really push you away, and this just really creates so much resentment and a desire for revenge. And in addition to this, Kyros blames Mufasa for killing his own son, and then when Scar wants to join Kyros, they kind of have this unholy alliance in terms of Kyros has lost a son, and of course Scar has lost a father. I mean, Scar's father's loss is because of Kyros, but even still, Scar was able to forgive that. I thought Blue Ivy did a good job as Kiara. She was obviously going to play a much bigger role if they continue the story with the original animated sequel, Simba's Pride, which I've always thought is so underrated. I feel like it's such a good sequel, and the same level as Jafar's Revenge is a really good sequel as well, as I feel like it fleshed out Scar as a character so much more in terms of, you know, he had his own relationships when he was banished, and Kovu is his adopted son who Kiara's falling in love with. So I thought that dynamic was really, really clever. And of course, Beyoncé was voicing Nala and she gave birth to a new child. I wonder who this is going to be. Is it going to be Keon or is it going to be Copper, as both have been confirmed to be Simba's kids, but just in multiple different projects. Although it was interesting that they didn't reveal the name in this film. So I did enjoy Mufasa. It's just a shame that they just didn't really go there, as they could have just made this film absolutely unforgettable. But it's clearly done so well in the box office, as it's already made $700 million worldwide. And Mufasa is such an epic, awesome character, and so to explore his backstory and see how this leads into the events of The Lion King was a good idea. I just wish that the execution would have been 10 times better, and I'm hopeful that they will continue it and maybe they'll do Simba's Pride next, which I think has the potential of being absolutely extraordinary. So I hope in that one they really do go darker. But as far as Mufasa the Lion King is concerned, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this film? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.